A lot. There we go. Hello,
Yep.
hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Weaving the Web. Tonight is a little bit of a different show. Sigrid is on vacation, and I have a couple of people filling in to co-host with me. We have the beautiful Rhonda, and we have Ellie Bell, and we are going to be talking about the sacred self tonight and all that that entails, because I think as a collective, we need to stop worrying about the outward so much and focus more about the inner self, right? And it was interesting because I always do a poll for the collective when I start, and I said, you know, what do we as a collective really need to know right now? And what came back is,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and come home to your body, right? Come home to your body. And it shows a person there, and it shows that heart chakra, and it shows that heart chakra going up. And that is your connection to the divine right there. What connects us to spirit, the gods, the goddess, whatever you choose to call it, God, Allah, Buddha, whatever, is your heart chakra. Because if you're not operating from a space of honesty and intention, that connection is going to be staticky, right? We look at it like a computer connection, right? If you have too much stuff going on the laptop, the connection's going to be frazzled, right? So it's the same with us. And, you know, I figured that tonight was a good time to look at what does the sacred self mean, right? What does it mean to come back to your body and look inward and take care of your sacred self?
Right.
And, you know, so I don't know, I asked Rhonda and Ellie to pull cards. So let's see what they came up with and see how that connects to
Because of all
our topic.
because of all the stuff that was going on tonight, Rhonda did not get to her deck.
Okay,
So Ellie does have hers, though.
that's fine.
So what
And
you
let's-
got, Ellie?
Okay, so the first one I pulled is from the Goddess Power Oracle
Oh, nice.
and Metis, Wisdom.
Yep,
Perfect.
that's definitely perfect. Wisdom, your inner knowing, that inner guidance system that never fails you, you know? And how do you protect these things? And I think, you know, as women today, we're under a lot of pressure. Our rights are being taken away by the droves. We've always been in that kind of secondary citizen kind of role. Our communities are up in arms. And what it boils down to is your connection with spirit. The more you focus on the outward, the less you're going to connect with spirit, God, goddess, whatever that means to you. And you know, it's sad that I have to keep repeating that, but it is what it is. You know, whatever that divine connection is for you, you have to build that relationship. And when you're focusing on everything that's going around outside of you, that's what happens. You lose that connection. The connection gets frazzled, right? It's, again, like a computer for the techies out there. The more people that jump on a network, the less information or the harder that information is going to be to get through to you, right? So tonight is about connecting to the sacred self and how that happens for all of us, you know, and how we do it. And I will say, for me, when I get into that mode, and you girls can correct me if I'm wrong or jump in with your stuff, is to how is my spiritual hygiene right now? And what I mean by spiritual hygiene, am I protecting myself? Am I clearing my energy? Am I refreshing that connection? And again, it doesn't have to be a complicated ritual. It can be as easy as every night you call back your power. Are you doing that? You know,
Right.
are you doing that? Are you smudging yourself? Like, I keep a broom in my car. I learned this a long time ago. You know, those little car brooms? And when I get out of work, I sweep myself of all the negative energy, especially in the line of work that I do. There's a lot of different kind of energies, and I don't want to take that home with me. So I sweep it off and get rid of it. And there's lots of little ways, burn an incense stick, smoke, clear your mind. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want. Sometimes when I get into a bad space, I do a full altar devotion to reconnect with the spirit.
Right.
Because we all get lax. You know what I mean? We all do it. You know what I mean? Where we get
the mundane.
Yeah. You get so wrapped up in the right now. I have 11 weeks till I graduate, and I'm on the crunch, and that's where my focus is. I'm not focusing on my spiritual self. And then I run around wondering, why am I dysregulated and why am I tired, and all these things.
Yeah, it's because you're not balanced the way you should be.
So there's a reason why I pulled the other one then, and I didn't understand why. It is from the Witches and Weeds Oracle.
Ooh.
And it's called, the card is At the Crossroads is the one that I pulled. And that one's new, so I haven't had a chance to play with it much, but that's the one it came out. But what it says at the crossroad, the witch of the crossroads. You are at the intersection of 4 roads, and you have to choose one. A fox emerges from the fog, so liminal that it seems to change into a witch figure. White hair escapes from her pointed hat, moved by an invisible wind. Who are you, the fox or the witch? You can choose the cunning of the fox, hide your cards, and activate your lateral thinking. Or you can be the witch, ignore common time, dance to the rhythm of your heart. Maybe you can be both. Intertwine your intuition and your heartbeat at the crossroads within you.
Yep.
There you
That's
go.
good.
So it kind of coincides and fits in with the other 2 that you guys pulled.
Exactly. And it always works out like that, because Sigrid and I pull at random times and the same thing happens. So this was a great test to just show you how spirit connects with us and is sending us messages going, hey, you're slacking here a little bit, because we all like I said, we all get guilty of slacking, and it's true. Rhonda asked me earlier, oh, what'd you do for Litha? And I was like, I worked. So I cut it down to basics, and I apologized to all my spirits and altars and said, look, when I get a day off, I'm going to reconnect,
Exactly.
And, and it's hard, especially in today's world. Our spiritual communities, our outer world, everything is in turmoil, and it gets hard. And that's what's important, to help you discern what's healthy and make healthy choices. You need to make sure your cup is full first, and your sacred self. You are sacred space. Whether you read the Bible, whether you read, any other book or any other course of study, it tells you that's from within. Your power, your energy that connects with the divine comes from within. You are a sacred space.
Exactly.
And you need to protect and empower that sacred space.
Yep. Get to your higher self.
Yeah, exactly. In my way that I do it, and I've talked about it a lot, I have a mind, body, spirit practice that I do every day. Mostly, again, I get guilty of slacking, but I try to do one good thing for my brain, whether it's listen to a podcast, learn something new, do a puzzle, have an interesting conversation. I try and do one good thing to stimulate my brain. Then I do one good thing for my body. I might skip the fries, get a salad, get a water, try and get 5 to 10 minutes of exercise in a day. Whatever it is, do something good for your body.
Right.
Next is your spirit. call back your power, do that little bit of a practice, go to church, say a prayer, light a candle, whatever it is you do, honor your spirit.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then do something nice for yourself. And I'm not talking anything big, although you could if you have the means and capability. But if not, a little thing could be just going outside and picking yourself some flowers and setting up a nice bouquet in your house. It can be as a dollar store nail polish color that you like, whatever it is. And then Dr. Jeremy Weiss, one of my mentors, added something else. And he said, Joanne, I would like you to add something else to that. And I said, what would that be? And he said, do one good thing for somebody else, whether it's hold a door, give a compliment, say hello, crack a smile,
There you go.
listen, be there for a person. Are these going to make everything going on in the world go away? Absolutely not. Is it going to cure all your problems? Absolutely not. But what it does do is it empowers you to be at a level where you can make a healthier choice about what's going on in your life.
Right. I've always been pretty big on telling my students and myself, and I'm guilty too, just like everybody else. I get into the mundane and it's okay, it's morning, the animals need to be fed, and the Kaya, the dog, wants to go out, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like before you know it, it's afternoon, morning's gone. But doing like a morning affirmation for yourself, look in the mirror and do positive affirmations for yourself, set the pace for the day, for yourself.
Yep. Shundi is in the house. Hello, Shundi. I don't know if you're able to put comments on the stage, Rhonda.
He didn't show me that part.
Okay.
I did share the link with you in Messenger for the live. I'm not sure where. I'm looking at his screen and I see all kinds of buttons.
I can see the comment, but it's not letting me show it on stage. Can you see it or no? It says, hello, beautiful goddesses. I love you all so very much. And we love you too, Shundi.
Love you, Shundi. We need to chit chat phone time.
We're still having some technical issues because that's just how I roll. And you know what? I'm determined to just do what I do regardless. So
it's life. And Harold's not doing tech tonight. He's helping his cousin. I'm scrolling up his menu here, seeing if I can see something that says to share comments and stuff.
I think it should be on on mine. It shows on the bottom. It looks like a little chat box, but don't worry about it because we don't want to screw up the feed.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to mess around with, because I'll
just have to read comments out loud. If you go to the main screen on WCTV, you should be able to put your comment in and I'll see it. And if not, Sigrid will be back in not next week, the week after. And we're going to find a way to fix the streaming situation so it's a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah, and Harold's not here tonight. He's helping his cousin with his home. We found out that they're on a time crunch with the tool that they rented, this power sander thing. So they have to have it back in the morning, and that's a huge house.
And Kevin says, as they say in hockey, you got to set the tone. Absolutely, Kevin. I agree. You have to set the tone. Tonight we're talking about the sacred self and how to protect that and how to navigate that, because the cards we pulled tonight were definitely a call that we're focusing too much on the outer and not enough on the inner. We're losing track of the message. So if you have any input for us on your druid level on how to do that, how you do that, or how a person can do that, we'd love to hear it. Shundi says, oh, hell yes.
A lot of us get caught up in the mundane.
The metis, which is the card that I drew earlier of wisdom. The book says, right now, the Greek goddess of wisdom, Metis, says you know exactly what to do in your current circumstance. The real question is, do you have the courage and commitment to make a wise choice?
Mhm.
Your answer is not to hide. You're being invited to look within rather than without. Take the
Yep.
wisdom you already have,
Mhm.
Right.
which is in here and not outside, but inside you already have, and apply it to your question. Perhaps, however, you must instead draw forth the humility to find someone wiser to weigh in. In this powerful time, others may seek you out for your wisdom. This is also an auspicious period when new relationships are founded on deep truths shared with others. You're entering a potent period of your life to share all that you are and all that you have learned. Extraordinary things are possible when the goddess Metis reminds you of your wisdom and the need to express it.
Mhm. Oh, she
Look what I
figured out how to do it. Yay, Rhonda.
Look what I found. So for those people who are just joining or whatever, I'm Rhonda. I'm Harold's partner. I have New Moon Eclectics, and Ellie Bell is one of my students from my academy who just made her first degree priestess. So now back to, I'm
And
going to
they are
try to,
helping me out because Sigrid's taking a vacation on us.
hey, everybody needs one.
Yeah,
Maybe
I can't think of
she's
it for
doing her,
11 weeks.
yeah. So
11 weeks, people.
she has, yeah. So Sigrid's getting her time in so that she can connect and do
She
her
is
thing.
connecting with her sacred self. Absolutely.
Exactly. We all need that time. I keep telling myself sometimes I need to make an appointment with myself for myself.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If you have to do that, Rhonda, you have to do that.
Exactly.
Because especially in the field that I work in, if I don't take reset time, it's not beneficial to me. It's not beneficial to what I do. It's not beneficial to my coworkers. It's not beneficial to anything that I do because I'm operating not from my heart. I'm operating on empty.
Yes, exactly. And I find with what I do between the website and with Witchcraft TV and the Academy and then all the different platforms that we both have and regular mundane life stuff. And it's like before you know it, your morning's gone, afternoon's gone, and you're at nighttime and it's like, where did the time go? And I didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything for my spiritual self. So I think, sometimes it might be important if you have to set, at this, and it's not always gonna work where you can set an appointment like time wise.
Yeah. And no,
like
my colleague at work and I talked about that yesterday.
Yep. And
Intentionally setting that time.
Yes. And sometimes things get in the way even when you do set that time. So it might be, in every morning at some point in the morning before afternoon, or sometime in the afternoon before evening starts. I'm going to do something for myself.
You break it down into smaller pieces.
Right.
Because we were talking about how we both have that one room in the house that we have to address, where I have this basket of laundry that through my internship, I have the best of intentions to reposition because I have the world's smallest closet and I have to climb a ladder, whatever. And and what it is, I go, instead of putting the stuff away and giving myself access to all the wonderful things that are in my closet, I choose to just keep re-going through that one pile of laundry, which keeps the laundry basket in my room on a perpetual, okay, it's folded now, and then we start over. You know what I mean? And it's like, and just, I haven't been able to maintain my altars as well as I like, and all these different things. And I said, I just have this one room. And she's like, yeah, she does too. She's like, I have stuff in there from when we first moved here. And we're both like, what the hell, And it's like, break it down into a smaller piece. Just say, today I'm going to fold it. Even if you just get it all folded and organized.
Right.
break it down into smaller steps.
Exactly.
Whatever it is that you're working on, I'm always a big, my boss is like, you're always a touter of, small steps equal big results. And that's the whole thing. We always, I think as a collective in general, look at the whole picture, and we always make things more complicated than they need to be.
Exactly.
And I was in class before I came on tonight, and one of my my fellow students was like, I have to remind myself the KISS analogy, keep it simple, stupid. Because like if I ask you to meditate, all of a sudden, the first thing I get from even any of the people I work with, oh, I can't meditate. I can't sit still for long. And I said, really? You don't have 20 seconds?
Yeah.
They're like, 20 seconds. I said, yeah, 20 seconds.
Exactly.
And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, all you need is 20 seconds to reset your head. And they were like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I said, well, it's simple. I said, can I send you something and you'll see what I'm talking about? And what I did during the pandemic, and anytime I go on my little adventures, I record these 20-second snaps of wherever I'm at. It's a live recording, whether it's the ocean, whether it's a river, just being in the woods. I do what's called 20 seconds of Zen.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask them to just open that text or email and just focus on that for 20 seconds.
There you go.
And you'd be surprised how long 20 seconds is. And I noticed this when I was recording this stuff. It's actually, you feel it and you're like, oh my God. And it's like, it does. All you need is 20 seconds of Zen to reset your attitude. And that's why I tell people, take a minute, go outside, ground yourself, connect, look out the window, whatever it is you need to do to remake and reactivate that connection.
Even if you just walk outside and you walk, like just stand in one spot, turn around in a circle a few times, and then move on with your day.
And even with the mind, body, spirit practice, everybody's like, oh, I'm like, no, it's one small thing. You're not rearranging your whole day and exercising all day for your body. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to do one small thing,
Right.
no matter how small it is, to help you that makes you feel good in that area of your life.
This comment, I'm going to put it up, from Shundi. She said, I got so wrapped up, Litha, that I forgot it was Father's Day. That happens with a lot of things that we do. You get so wrapped up in one thing that you totally, and don't feel bad, Shundi. I did the same thing.
I forgot it was my wedding anniversary this weekend. My husband had to remind me.
It's things happen. It's life, and it's one of the, sometimes it's a retrain, and you can ask Ellie, I'm big on this too, retrain your brain, and it's one of them things that you just have to stop and refocus,
you have to reset the intention.
Yeah.
This wise woman tells me, belief, intention, manifestation, and you. So this wise woman gives me these wise sayings that is a Rolodex in my head. And so whenever I hit something, it's like, oh, yeah, that. And
I tell the subconscious the Rolodex, because it's easier for some people to think of a Rolodex, and your subconscious is like a Rolodex, and sometimes that's what happens.
I'm telling you, I tell people, even though you might not believe it, or you might not know, because it's like that with trauma. A lot of times you don't feel it, but your subconscious takes it and runs, because what is trauma technically, right? It is an experience, and your brain is like, oh, that's too much for you to handle, Rhonda. So I'm just going to hide it.
Exactly.
And it manifests through behavior, through body aches and pains. And what it is, because your subconscious is always listening. Even though you might say, oh, I feel fine, and your body is like, your brain is telling you, you're okay. You don't, the trauma is not affecting you because they shut it out of your, they block it out.
Mm-hmm.
You're still feeling it in other areas,
Exactly.
it comes out in other ways. Absolutely.
Yes, it does. And I'm really big on chakra work too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when things like that happens, going through your chakras will help you pinpoint, because each chakra is connected to certain organs and muscles and tissues within your body.
Absolutely.
So sometimes trying to find which chakra is like messing up what will help.
Yeah, sometimes that Reiki attunement is really good for that. Breeze Burke, I work with her. She does Rahani on me, and that's like it's almost like a Reiki on steroids, but it focuses with the ultraviolet flame and energy, like that kind of thing, and it's centered more towards like the heart and like this area. But boy, does that really help. Like I can feel when I need it. She's been back in school herself at Tavistock over in the UK, studying to do what I do. I'm like, you're already a doctor. What do you need to do what I, why do you want to go clinical? But she does that, and it feels amazing when she does it. Like I could tell it's been a while since it happened. And the last time she did it, I hadn't had it done for a good 6 months. And the crap she pulled off of me, Rhonda, oh my God. It was like a web. I had gone through some precarious friendship situations and things like that. And the ick that she pulled off of me, the only way to describe it, you ever watch what's that, Stranger Things?
I think I've seen it once.
Yeah, and when they go into the upside down and there's like that web of like gooky looking gross, like slimy stuff.
Right, ooze.
When I closed my eyes to do the visualization, that's what it looked, because I closed my eyes and I'm very like I can see like the visualization in my head or whatever, like I see the energy as it's coming. And I'm closing my eyes, and it was nothing like it normally is. It looked like this black, webby, gooky stuff with an eye in the middle. And I was like, what is this? And I'm like, what is this? And then every once in a while, I started to see blips of like this purple color coming through. And make a long story short, by the end of the meditation, the colors had come back. And that was that gook. It took her over an hour to peel that stuff off my energy field.
Right.
And let me tell you, if you're not taking care of your spiritual self, coming back to your body, that gook, that energy is what's attaching and blocking your flow.
Exactly.
And after she did that, a lot of things started opening up again.
Yeah.
I was literally covered in it.
It's like cleaning house.
And she saw it too, because at the end of the session, we talk about it. And she's like, what was that? She's like, and you could see it, like, it was like almost like this purple would come through. And then that web of slime would just go poof, like into a cloud of smoke. It was like weird. And then that spot was clear and you could see and it took her over an hour.
Wow. It's kind of like house cleaning. It's and it's true. If sometimes if your spiritual self, and even sometimes it affects your physical self, feels cluster-crapped. Yeah. When you clean your house, your physical house, when you start decluttering that, it helps to declutter this. It sounds odd, but it actually does work.
All right. Kevin has a comment for us. I'm at work, so I'll comment when I can. As for the topic, I have several possibilities, but they all depend on the individual and their schedule or routine. He said, as for myself, I spend a lot of time in nature, but on the days I can't, if I'm running on empty, I just lay down for 1 to 2 hours and relax my mind and body and just let my mind do what it needs to do on a subconscious level. And then I return to a charged, almost Zen-like state of being. Kevin's like, I love Stranger Things. Yeah, that ick. That's what was like. That's what it looked like. It was all over me. You know, when they go into the upside down and they go through that like gross seat. It's almost like I don't know, like it's just weird. And yeah, that's what it was like.
Yep.
And it's true. Yeah, sometimes you just need a quick reset. 1 to 2 hours, a half an hour. Since I've gotten older, I'm a big fan of the cat nap. I'm not going to lie.
There you go. Yeah, I do that sometimes too. And I have a crystal. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called a Super 7.
Oh, yes. That's one of the best.
Yeah, I have one of those. And it's actually, it has 2 points on one end and then 1 point. And
nice.
I use that sometimes.
I use crystals.
Yeah, I'll use that sometimes to go through my chakras.
Yeah.
Starting with my root chakra, and I work my way up to the crown. But
and also YouTube is your friend, because seriously, they have these things called binaural beats or solfeggio sounds, and they have ones that do all your chakras, 9 chakras, and you just play it in the background. And I have them playing a lot when I'm studying, or if I'm in my room at night, I have it playing in the background. I usually have it on my phone that I don't use. You know, we all have these old phones that we still use like mini devices, and I'll have it plugged in and I'll have it sitting on my phone playing in the background as I'm doing my stuff. And whatever it takes for you to clear that energy, they have them on everything, whether it's anxiety. If you have a broken toe, say binaural beat for broken toe, and they'll have one. Like, it's bizarre. Right. But Ninad Music puts them out, and they're really wonderful. Some of them they have all different lengths. Some of them are like 11 hours long, and I just put it on and leave it playing, you know?
They have one that's that I listen to with the singing bowls.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
The 10-hour singing bowls. Yep.
Yeah, I'll listen to that. There's a really fantastic guy. Crap, I'll think of his name in a second. Something Stevenson, Jacob. When I find it, I'll have to send you the link.
Yeah, and also put it in the chat in the
exactly.
on the replay.
I can find it on the phone, I think. But I'll listen to. He does a lot of sleep meditations, but he also does a lot of other meditations. And I don't know if it's his voice or the way that he goes about doing everything. There are times when I'll start listening to him, and within 5 minutes, I'm in another realm.
Yep.
You know, I'm good at astral projecting, period. But when I'm with him, not with him, but when I listen to him,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, there's something about the way he does it that helps me to remove myself from here, especially when there's a lot going on and I can't get this to stop. You know, it's like I gotta check the academy, and I'm supposed to do this for Witchcraft TV, or I'm supposed to, I gotta go to the store, I gotta do this, and your head just, I don't know if it's you guys too. I've heard from a lot of women that say the same thing. Women have a harder time getting their head to shut up.
Yes.
Than men can lay down, and within 30 seconds, they're sound asleep snoring.
Yes, absolutely.
We lay down and our head is thinking, did we do everything we were supposed to do today? And what do we got to do tomorrow? And it just won't quit.
And then, oh my God, I did that 20 years ago. And why did I do that? And I wish I never did that. And right. Oh my God, it's like we just go through everything that could possibly go through the mind. And especially, gee, did I do this right at work today? And did I? And my friend, my colleagues are like, stop worrying about if it's right, just do it.
Okay, so let me see. His name is Jason Stevenson. I'm looking at my phone. I'm going to see if I can share the link somehow. on here.
Kevin says, sometimes I use modern pagan folk music in the background while doing something to keep an energy level or a mood going for a prolonged period of time.
Right, right.
Awesome. I love doing that. I listen to Virginia Ackley every Wednesday for that reason, because it's that little mini reset in the middle of the week to just pick up that energy in a vibe, you know? And Kevin's like, not me. I have mild insomnia, so sometimes I can't shut down for up to 2 hours after I lay down.
PH.
Where we live, we live in apartments, and so, you know, sometimes it's hard to do the reset. However, we have a willow tree, and, you know, Rhonda has seen it. I've done pictures of it, and I'll go out and just sit, you know, in the rocking chair on the back porch and turn my phone on and record the morning sounds or evening sounds for, you know, a couple minutes. You know, the birds, you know, the crickets, the frogs, you know, thunderstorms, and, you know, just being able to, or go touch the tree, you know, and it's a willow tree. I mean, it's one of the good woods, you know, there's the ash, the oak, the willow, and it, you know, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And it's like, wow, that feels different. And it doesn't take that long.
Kevin says, Lindsay Sterling is great for mood stability and energy. Absolutely. I like Lindsay Sterling. I use a lot of music. I tell people I can live without a TV, but I cannot live without my Spotify. I have to have music continuously. I don't know if that's because the Gen X thing, where to us, my escape when things happen was to throw in my Walkman and just go into myself, you know, and get out that, throw Ozzy in and get out that energy of anger or whatever it was, you know. That was my coping mechanism, always has been.
I think a lot of people are in that same boat because, as the old adage says, music calms the savage beast.
Yeah.
You know, and depending, and if you are in one state of mind and you're listening to, like, I don't know, there's a station on my Pandora, it's Earth, Wind, Air, Fire radio.
Oh, nice.
And I could be listening to that and be in a nice, calm, cool mood. And then I'll start listening to, like, classic rock or something. And then, like, I'll put it on another radio station and they'll play like a heavy metal something or other. And you can feel your mood change throughout the genres of music.
Yep.
You know, so if you're,
I use my heavy metal to get out my anger. I am definitely.
Yes.
No, you'll hear me blasting. My favorite is Testament did a remake of Seek and Destroy by Metallica.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that is, oh my God. I think, and I love Metallica, but I'm sorry, Testament did it better. and I just love it. You know, that guitar and just, you know, and I feel that energy leaving my body as I do that, you know?
Yeah. It's like I said, it soothes the savage beast, you know?
I actually did a study early in my education on, I had different first responders, and I did a test where every day I would send them because they compartmentalize a lot with emotion. So I sent them music, heavy metal music every day for them to listen to on the ride home, and how it helped them, if they felt anything from it, if it changed anything. And two of them I actually still send music to this day, because they said it makes a difference. Because when you come out of that environment, it helps you get rid of that inner rage before you get home, you know?
Even the words that you speak. Years ago, I was a house mother for this one company, and we took care of handicapped individuals, mentally, physically handicapped. And I had a lot of autistic, Down syndrome. And one of the things when we were being trained to take care of these individuals, one of the things that we learned was language control.
Mm-hmm.
It takes, and I'm not going to cuss a lot, but instead of saying, because we used to try to get them to not cuss so much.
Yeah.
And one of the things was I had a girl that kept saying shit. And when she said that, it, like, every time she said that word, it made her more angry.
Yeah.
So I talked to the director and I was like, okay, so how do I turn her around? Because I was just learning how to deal with them.
Yeah.
How do I get her to turn around? The more she says that word, the angrier she's getting.
Yeah.
So she, instead of, get her to say sugar instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sugar takes a lot more energy to say, and it actually releases energy when she says it.
Yep.
And it took about a week to get her to switch words because of the individual that she was. But once she started replacing shit with sugar, there was a huge difference in her whole persona.
Yeah. And it's true. Like because I work with kids a lot, I always say fudge cookies instead of the F word. And one of my students, one of my kiddos is like, they're 16 and they were like, it's okay, you can swear around me. I'm like, I said, that's not the point though, because
Exactly.
when I say fudge cookies, instead of it ruining the moment with the one-on-one with what I'm focused on, because now it's focused on me, right? And how I'm feeling. And that's not what I do, right? So it just lightens it up. It's just fudge cookies, it takes that, thinking about something you hate and turns it into everybody loves a fudge cookie.
Exactly. And everything that we're talking about now, the speech, the music, and everything, it all kind of rolls right back to taking care of our spiritual self.
Absolutely. It doesn't involve a big ritual.
Your state of mind is chaotic. Kevin,
it doesn't involve.
I don't know if you guys remember, NCIS.
I love that show. I need me some Gibbs.
And so whenever Tony said something or did something off, Gibbs would do the Gibbs slap.
Yeah.
On the back of the head. And it was like, and what's that for? Because you know better. But and it, it was just a little, but it was something between them.
Yeah.
And Rhonda, you had brought up speech. And I mean, our inner dialogue is so important for the sacred self.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, most of us, most of us grew up in, sarcastic, abusive in some form or fashion environments, work, childhood trauma. And so we've had to retrain literally our brains to tell ourselves that's not okay. We've had to connect to that little girl. That's not okay. I'm here for you now. Right. And when you're not used to that, it takes a minute. It's not one of those things to say, oh, I got this, I'll have this down in a day. No, there's this book. I haven't gotten it yet, but I've heard really good things about it. The Body Keeps Score.
Oh, yeah, that's a great book. I use that a lot in my work. Somatic healing. Your body hides trauma because just because you're not acknowledging it or you don't remember it, your subconscious does. And that's what it does. It stores it in your body. And it comes out in behaviors. It comes out in aches, pains, different areas of your body where you have problems. Kevin says, Blackwell, The Drift is another good one. I can't draw or anything to save my life, but that particular instrumental always gives me peace and actually triggers a desire to paint something, anything. It literally makes me want to pick up a blank canvas and paint what the canvas tells me it wants to show. But I have no ability in this aspect, but I love the feeling. Yeah, that's and that's funny because on my Bob Ross deck last week, that's what came up was the blank canvas. What is the canvas? What is your inner self? Look at it as a black canvas. What are you going to blank canvas? What are you going to put on there?
Right. I totally feel exactly where he's coming from because I used to do goat milk soap. And I loved getting my hands in, not like I had to have gloves on, obviously, but get my hands in there because I'd get creative with the designs in the soaps.
Yep.
And then it got to where I couldn't do that anymore, but I needed another outlet. I needed to do something. And I started watching YouTube videos on different types of painting, creative ideas. And I came across, there's this lady, Molly's Artistry on YouTube. She's huge now. But I started watching her from when she started, you know, to see, okay, what do I need to do to get into this? That looks pretty cool. And that ended up being one of the things I have. I started New Moon Acrylics, where I was doing paintings, and it's acrylic liquid. It's like liquid art.
Yep.
Canvas. And doing the paintings and getting your hands in there and creating what the canvas and the colors. And so I get exactly what he's saying. It does.
Yep. We use that a lot at my work, the art therapy route. And I'm down there with the kids painting. I mean, I always post my artwork on Facebook, and I'm like, you know, and my, you know, and I laugh because I have a lot of creative friends, you know, like Lauren Morris, and she's an incredible artist. And she'll be like, I did this today, you know, look what I did today. And then I'm like, and here's my masterpiece, you know, and it was a finger paint octopus, you know, and and it's like, you know, but I get right in there with the kids and we do these things, and it's amazing what comes up, even for just the kids, you know. Kevin Blackwell's, no, Black Mill, sorry, mistyped. That's all right. We were talking about the evil autocorrect earlier. We all have that issue. Mine's the devil. It's a.
Uh-oh. Okay, Joanne had an oops. She'll be back. Can you still hear me, Ellie?
I can, yes.
Okay, yeah. So I know Joanne has little blips every now and then, but she'll be back.
It's like I can't draw, and sometimes I can write, but where I find the creativeness is in my tarot and oracle cards.
Yep.
You know, I can, you know, when I'm feeling angst, like really bad, and I can't calm down, I will see a deck in my head. Okay, that's the deck that I need to use, whatever deck it is. And I will pull a card. And I can't tell you how many times that specific card calms me. When I was first learning, I was just looking at pictures. Oh, look at this cool picture. This is neat. Look at this one. Look at that one. I was like a little girl in a candy store. And
Ellie was a hot
mess. Don't tell my secrets. And someone told me that, no, what you're doing is an intuitive reader. What's that? And, you know, since I've learned, you know, how to quiet some of those, I don't know, that energy, that chaotic energy, I guess, for lack of a better word, it took a minute, literally, for all of it to just hush, because I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, well, that's because you shut down that sound and you listened to that inner voice. Like my tarot, I had a completely different deck in mind. I do use the Raise Your Vibration Oracle by Kyle Gray a lot, but I was, you know, I try to, you know, I've been using the Bob Ross one, and today Kyle Gray was calling. It's like, nope, we need to change that collective vibe. And if you're, and you know, if you just started watching, or if you've been watching, you'll notice there's a common thread in all these things to help you reconnect to your sacred self. It's your five senses.
Exactly.
Even if you just do one thing for those, you know, five senses every day to help you. You know, I mean, think about it. We all smell like a nostalgic smell, like when you go into a bakery and in that smell of the cakes baking. Or my favorite smell was Thanksgiving Day dinner at my mom's. You know, all the cooking smells, the lasagna baking in the oven, the turkey. So whenever I smell things like that, or a beef stew cooking, it always, you know, brings me back to a comforting place. It's a comforting smell, you know?
Yep, exactly. For me, it was baked bread.
Yeah, because all those things, because no matter how chaotic and, you know, my household may have been for me mentally, those were the memories that gave me comfort, the things that were good about it. You know, it takes you
Right.
back to a good place instead of focusing on that horrible place, you know?
Yeah, talking about the five senses, you know, you can look at your favorite thing, even if you have to look it up online.
Hmm.
You know, look at your favorite thing, that's your eyes. Find something that you can smell that is calming to you. You know, some people like lavender. To me, lavender is it's calming, but at the same time, it like spikes me. I'm backwards.
Yeah.
Your sense of taste. Eat something you enjoy, that you know that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, the sense of touch. You know, if you like the touch of cotton, or you like to pet an animal, you know, that type of thing. You know, so
And
that,
that's
and
actually what they use to calm people down for panic attacks. That's one of the things. Look for the, you know, one thing you can smell, taste, touch, hear, feel, you
right,
know?
right, exactly, and that helps to calm your physical self, which also helps to calm and soothe your spiritual self.
You know, all these things help bring you back to your center. You
Right.
know, spiritual hygiene, definitely call back your energy. Um, I wear a lot of tourmaline, which is a shield. I also wear obsidian, which takes energy and actually transmutes it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I use stones a lot. I use a lot of aromatherapy too, like different scents, like Rhonda said, help you to connect to a better place, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Scents have been like long time tied to meditation because it helps you to connect to that spiritual self.
Yeah. The hygiene is so important to cleanse yourself. Even if you just run, you know, there's certain stones, like you can take I love those like $2, $3 selenite sticks that they sell. I
Mm-hmm.
love keeping those around. I mean, I keep them on my decks, but I just grab it and I just, you know, you know, push it
Exactly.
all around me and cleanse that energy off, you know?
I usually just stand there and I envision this white, yellowish ring that
Hmm.
starts in my head and just wipes down my whole body.
Yep.
You know, boom, done. Not having that icky feeling, it's gone.
Yep. I did a meditation. One of my mentors and good friends, Frances Billinghurst, she does this return to the sacred self thing every year
Mhm.
and seminar, and I highly recommend it. It's free and it's amazing. And Puma Quispy was one of the he's a shaman from Peru. I loved him the minute I heard him. He had us do this visual exercise where we found a crystal that we liked and we envisioned ourselves inside the crystal, and he did this whole meditation. And I take that crystal sometimes and I just hold it, and it holds that energy of that feeling, and I love it, and it calms me down right away.
So, Kevin has another comment. He's got a couple up here. The first one says, currently, the Never Ending Story theme song has been so uplifting. I've taken to listening to it 10 times a day. That,
Oh,
Kevin, is actually one of my favorite movies. I love
yeah.
that movie. I remember my son watching it when he was young, and I
Yep.
think his thing was he was in love with the princess, so he'd watch it all the way through and then watch it again just to see her at the end. But yeah,
I
that
love the
that
never ending story.
yes, I don't know any witch that doesn't like that. For some
And
reason,
also, Peter Falk looks a lot like my dad, and he was one of my dad's favorite actors. So to me, it's instant comfort.
there you
It's like
go.
sitting with my dad and he's telling me a story, and uh, that's
Kevin,
how I know he's around. All of a sudden, I get the urge to, you know, binge watch Columbo.
You know,
there you go.
you guys were talking about you know, words. And I mean, you know, you guys have already brought it up, you know, the KISS principle.
Mhm.
However, you know, we need to work on changing that second S so we're not using it to call ourselves that.
Yeah, I like Ellie's because Ellie and her man have come up with a second thing for that second S, and I'll let her tell you what it is.
Because, you know, we've been around kids or we've both worked with kids, we usually say, keep it simple, sweetie.
There you go.
You know, and so there, I mean, Joanne, you were talking about fudge cookies, how it changes. You know, sweetie is a lot different than,
It's a
you know,
mentality thing.
stupid. Sugar is a lot different than, you know, the other word. And so,
Right.
you know, it again takes a minute, but it's changing that mindset and that mentality of, okay, this to that, or that
Correct.
to this.
Yep.
You were talking about nostalgia. There's a lot of things that my Ema taught me through visuals when I was younger. She didn't teach me like a teacher would, voice wise. And so I learned a lot by watching her. And I didn't realize that she was a witch until years and years and years later. And then now that I'm walking my path, I'm like, oh, that's what she was doing. You know,
Right.
I remember, you know, different things that she did, you know, the different colored candles, the challah bread and the candles on Friday evenings, the tea during the week. And one thing she always told me was never be afraid.
Yeah.
So I had that foundation, if you will, as I was younger. And then I was, you know, legal guardianship into a Christian family. So I couldn't follow per se in her footsteps, though
Yeah.
I never renounced what she taught me. So then as I got older, you know, things started showing up or doors would open and I'm like, this feels familiar. I don't know what this is, but it feels familiar, you know. And, you know, people would just show up or I'd be connected to them. And it was like, wait a minute, there's no coincidence in this walk.
There is.
And, you know, there's no accident this happened. I was talking to Rhonda the other day and I was like, I'm seeing this, and this, and this is connecting to this, and this. There's no accidents here.
Correct.
You know, and it was just, I don't know, I'm kind of like a hobbit that I have that wonder that, oh, look at this, look at that, look at this. And I don't think I'll ever outgrow that.
Yeah.
You don't ever outgrow the wonder of synchronicity.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can people not see this? I just, how can you not see it when it's like right in front of you? Anyway.
Well, that's because you're so focused on all the mundane stuff that you lose track of that connection, you know, which is why we're talking about how spiritual hygiene is so important right now and connecting to that inner self, because you reconnected to that inner self and you were able to see these things. You were able to hear your intuition, right? And I think we all lose sight of that a lot, you know?
Yeah. And speaking of the connecting to the selves, and we were talking about the senses, Kevin said, my comfort smells of forest after a rain, fresh cut hay, lilacs, the smell of leaves in the fall.
I used to think the same thing about hay until I started working in close proximity with it and realized how allergic I am to it. But yes, I love the smell of hay.
Yeah, when I worked with horses years and years and years ago, it wasn't anything else on that farm but sticking my face, and it sounds weird, but in the horse's mane.
Oh, yeah.
There was something about that was so calming to me.
Yep. Connor does that to me a lot. He was doing it Saturday. He hadn't seen me for a while because he's funny. He comes on his own, like he knows when you need something, you know. And he came over and like he'll come over every day and give me a boop, and then sometimes he'll walk away. But Saturday he just wanted to be, and he puts his head like right here. You'll see if I'm trying to take the picture. He's always like positioning himself. And I was taking a picture and you could see him coming up behind me. And I'm like, uh-oh. And he likes to and he'll breathe in my ear.
Yeah.
And it's just
right.
And it's so relaxing and so soothing. And he's got I'm snuggling up against his mane because he's got his head on my shoulder. And I just love that feeling. I just love it.
So Shundi said, and I think this goes with what Ellie was saying. She said, I so resonate with you. My grandmother was teaching me, and I never knew she was doing magic. It was a normal thing of life and taught me how to manifest in certain things. And then when her Cronin came, she told me that when I become a crown, I will go. They will put me through a Cronin Lord. I never knew until after I went to Salem. Then I understood. And then she said I should clarify that Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah, my grandmother used to do the same thing. She would just show me things and not, if you ever said she was a witch, she would, but she taught me things and how to remove the evil eye, she would do these, she called them little prayer packets. And she would fold them up and say the rosary over them for however long. And she'd write things on them and put different saint cards in there, fold them up, sew a cloth around them, and then she'd pin them on us with a safety pin. I think I've talked about the one she made for my car that I actually got pulled over and the cop was like, oh, is this drugs? I'm like, no, it's dirt from the Holy Land. My grandmother made it for me. And he's like, yeah, right. And he cut it open and he's like, oh, it's dirt. I'm like, yeah, from the Holy Land. And he handed it back to me and I retaped it. And I actually still have it. And I keep it with me all the time.
Right on.
It's weather worn and, but hey, I love it.
Hi, Harold.
Is Harold in the audience?
He just came in from next door from his cousin's house. I guess they're trying to call it a night. But my grandma, my family was part Christian, part Catholic. Some of them were in the Christian thing, some were in Catholic.
Yeah.
So we always had a mixture going through grandma's house growing up. But her magic was always, it fit in with everything.
Yeah.
And she used to make these you'd take oranges and put cloves in them.
Oh, yeah.
Lines, and she'd hang them around the house. And she would tell everybody it was just air fresheners. And then later on, I found out when I started doing it, when I was, had my own home, I started doing what grandma did because that smelled good. But then you get to connect that scent. It connects to a calmer state. Yeah. It not only freshens your house and it's not only a protective element, but it helps to calm you.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons grandma did it was because she had like minimum 9 kids in the house at any time.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, she would always throw salt and in the, at us in the windows, put it in our pocket. We'd be sleeping in bed. You'd wake up and be like, what is this? And, she was always doing little things like that, and then as I learned, I found out that that's protection, and what's one of the first things we do? Put a little salt in your pocket. That's a simple thing you can do.
Right.
To keep it doesn't have to be overly complicated. And it's funny because Rhonda and I discovered this week that the sunstone candle holder, along with Sigrid, we went down the hole and tried to find a sunstone candle holder. It doesn't exist. Because it's a hard stone material to find, or it's hard to work with. But this person that did this simple ritual for summer solstice basically was leading people on a wild goose chase.
Right. Anything that you do, even if it's to like center yourself spiritually, which is what we're talking about, it doesn't have to be
Complex.
Salt. You can use regular table salt. You'll
Yep.
have TikTokers telling you got to have this special sea salt or Dead
Oh,
Sea
God.
salt, or
I always
you
look at it this way: were our ancestors running around the world, the forest, in their cabins, going, "Oh my God, I need sea salt from Asia." They
exactly
probably didn't even know what Asia was at that point.
right. They knew their direct community,
Yeah,
and they worked with what was in their community.
your spirit's of place.
They knew.
Like Kevin says, he's in nature. He works with the spirit of where he's at.
Exactly.
And your land spirits, your guardians of those places, and work with them and say, show me what I need.
Right. Right. Precisely.
It's
Yeah.
like,
It,
with me,
even
I do stir intention. My tea, my coffee,
Mhm.
I, I go clockwise, to attract, counter, to negate, simple stuff. It's not difficult. Going back to keep it simple, the way my brain works, if it's too complicated, I cannot get it. No matter how much I try and process it, my brain just will not. It will
Yeah.
not, won't, not a zilch. And so I have to be able to see it in simplistic terms. And I'm like, oh, that connects to that. That connects to that. Okay, I can see that.
Mhm.
So when I try to do something and it's too complicated, it's like my brain freezes. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, I'm not supposed to know that right now. That's too much information. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then later, when I'm ready for it, then it comes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, timing. I was talking again with Rhonda about this the other day, about seasons. We've got 4 seasons. We've got 8 Shabbats, Esbats. There's a specific time for each thing. Again, going back to the sacred self, there's specific things that those Esbats, Shabbats, seasons teach us.
Yeah.
The goddess, the stages of the goddess, specific things she teaches us in those stages.
Yeah.
Maiden, Mother, Crone.
Well, even if you look
Why?
at Jewish mysticism,
Right.
every Shabbat, every Friday is a Shabbat for them, from sunset on Friday till sunrise. Sunday morning, they rest, they recoup, they resurge themselves. It's a very common thing, even in Christianity. Sunday, before the days of retail.
Yes.
Remember, I know when I was a kid, to find something open on a Sunday was like,
Precisely. That was their day to shut down, recuperate,
yeah,
recenter, regather, and that's what we're lacking.
yeah. And now, it's go, go, go all the time.
Yeah, we're lacking that time. If they can do it, we can do it.
I remember when liquor stores were closed on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some places they still are.
Mm-hmm.
Harold and I travel the country, and in a lot of places they don't sell liquor. Period. It's what they call a dry state. But there are other places where you can buy liquor on Sunday, but only after a certain time, or not at all. So some places are like, this is our quote unquote holy day, and this is our day to reconnect with their God or whatever their higher being is.
Yeah. And the fact that the world tells us, well, you want to honor your spirituality or do this, or you lose your job. That's just messed up to me.
It is totally. And we don't want to get into that whole agenda, but
No, not going down that rabbit hole.
No, that's like a whole nother show. But yeah, there's a lot of places that refuse to honor any other spiritual connection other than Christianity.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of try to work around that. Like I said, if you have to make an appointment with yourself, which in these days and age, it's hard to even do that. But
If you can't do that, then do the, 5, the mind, body, spirit every day. Keep that in your head, all these are little things you can do, or recall your power at night, reclaim your power at night. In the morning, when you get up, set the intention that today, good things are going to happen today, reset that energy, put it out there, protect your peace, protect your peace.
Yes. Do those positive affirmations, in the morning.
Yep. My friend Kendall Strahan says it all the time. Protect your peace. You have to protect your peace,
Putting that shield around in the morning helps.
Yeah, exactly. Put up that shield of light.
Exactly.
Cover yourself. I think in the Catholic Christian religion, they call it the armor of God. Put that on you. Put the armor of the God and Goddess, or God, or whatever you want to call it, the armor of the Archangel Michael, whatever it means to you, to put that spiritual armor on you to protect yourself,
Even within paganism, each tradition has their own quote unquote armors or shields or barriers that they use.
Mine might be different than Rhonda's, but that's okay. Exactly. I'm not going to her coven and saying we have to do it my way.
Right.
Respect other people and their practices, their personal practices. It's like when you go to church. If you go to a Catholic church, you're not going to go in there and do a Baptist sermon, right? You're going to go in there and you're going to follow the Catholic, whatever it is. Then you go home if you want to listen to, Joyce Myers or whoever, some of these people, these heavy hitting preachers, that's up to you. Be a respecter. When you're in coven, you honor what your coven wants to do. I practice Egyptian and Celtic mostly, but when I was in my coven, when we did ritual, it was Hellenistic, and that's what I did.
Right.
We don't all have to do the same thing. And I think this is where the Common Core concept really messed things up, because we're not all the same. We're not.
No.
We all have different, unique gifts and strengths, and we need to honor those things in ourselves.
We do. Every witch is individual, and I'm huge on that as well. You are your own person. This is your and I mean, I could probably it's your walk, your path, your life, your journey. Nobody can do it for you but you. Nobody should do it for you.
But I'm not going to go into an Alexandrian ritual or a Gardnerian ritual and say no. And do my own personal practice.
Right. No, when you're within, a certain tradition's company at, going to one of their functions, events, or whatever, you're not going to disrespect them.
No.
By, hey, I'm going to do my thing my way. No, I don't give a crap.
Or tell them that what they're doing is wrong. That's not,
Right, exactly.
There's no right or wrong way. Spirit didn't set out to bring about religion. It's a way of life to be spiritual.
Right. Exactly.
And it's such a simple concept, yet so hard for everybody to grasp,
Well, because
it's causing a lot of division,
It is, because there's a lot of people out there that do it my way or the highway.
Yeah, gatekeeping. I'm so over it,
Exactly. But I think the whole premise behind this show about keeping yourself spiritually cleansed, so to speak, helps in all that aspect, because it helps you to attune to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And attuning to yourself, you attune to your higher self, which helps you to attune better to the divine.
Yes, because you're operating from your heart.
Correct.
Spirit, God, Goddess, they operate from the heart and your intention, and if it's not coming from your heart, it ain't spirit. You know what I mean? Right. And our ego likes to fight it, because we want to be in control. And sometimes spirit or the gods and goddesses may have something better in mind for us than what we want for ourselves. So when you disconnect that access, you're limiting yourself.
Mhm.
You need to listen.
Exactly.
What is your body telling you when you get stressed out? What was that? What were you feeling in your body before you got stressed or upset at that situation? You know, um,
Even staying
feelings in your body, like what was your emotion when it happened? That's why when, trauma 101, well, what happened right before that trigger? What were you feeling in your body right before you got triggered? What were you feeling in your mind? What
right.
was your mood?
Exactly. And staying connected to the divine helps a lot too. We were talking
Yeah.
about Gibbs and NCIS earlier.
Oh, I
And
love this.
I had mentioned to Ellie one time that I get the Gibbs slap a lot from the goddess.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but sometimes you get into that funk.
Yep.
I don't care what level you're at. We're all still human and we all still get into that funk. And every now and then I'll get that Gibbs slap in the back of my head. And it's like, remember who the F you are.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, that's what we need to do. Remember who we are. Remember our capability. We are capable of retraining our brains, of reattuning ourselves.
Yeah. I tell myself, and I posted a lot too. Have you loved your brain today? Because think about everything that your brain does, right?
Exactly.
It controls your breathing. It controls your mind. It controls your movement. It controls your sensations. It controls everything, right? And if you're not feeding and taking care of your brain,
exactly,
your brain, that's it, right?
Yep.
That's it. You won't have any mood at all.
Precisely.
Your mind, body, and spirit. This is your temple. The temple is within.
Right.
Whether you read the Bible, whether you're a Gardnerian, it's all about what's within you.
Exactly. And we may not always fully 100% take care of our bodies. I know I have flaws. I may drink too much coffee. I smoke cigarettes. I have
It's
flaws.
not about being perfect.
No, because no one is. And that's the big thing. People think they have to be perfect to be connected to the divine. And that's not it. You don't have to be perfect. No one is perfect.
The thing about that word, perfect, we have it in our minds that it means without mistakes. When you look it up, it actually means wholeness and completeness. So we can actually be perfect, wholeness and complete in our practice, in our path, connecting with the divine, or connecting with meditation.
Yep.
As Kevin had, made several of the comments to nature, there's times that, my life gets so busy. And there's nothing at first that I think I can do. Well, I light candles. How many times can I take a tea light candle, set it in front of me and light it and just get lost in the flame?
Mm-hmm.
What does fire do? It calms, it cleanses. So there's purifies. So there's many things that we can actually do when we think about it.
Right.
And think about the elements.
Mm-hmm.
Your five senses, the elements, mind, body, spirit. Your five senses, your elements: earth, air, fire, water, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
All these things. Do one thing that touches those things every day. Does it have to be a complex ritual? No.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't have time right now to do an altar devotion every night. I just don't. So I break it up. I do what I can with what I can.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's just could be lighting my lighter in the car and waving it around myself and cleansing that, that essence and all those passions and things that are no longer serving me. Incense is a big one for me because I have a lot of Mercury energy and my mind. I need to like keep my mind clear on what is important, you know, and what I need to focus on, mental clarity. I love using the power of a good storm for that, you know.
Exactly. I love a good storm.
I mean,
The storm
I
have
used to,
everything.
I have acquaintances that use smudging. Well,
Mhm.
before I could, get the smudge sticks, they like, no, you have to do it this way. You were talking about that earlier, Joanne. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? Why can't I use incense to do the same thing?
You
Well,
can
no, you
absolutely
can't do
can.
it that way. No, yes, you can. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
You can even take fresh herbs that you have in your
Mhm.
kitchen,
Yeah.
tie them together and make your,
If you're in your car, a salt packet, there's your earth. You have a bottle of water, there's water. You have a lighter or
there's
matches, there's your fire, and earth, air, fire, water, air. Like I said, little car broom, sweep, sweep,
Mhm.
sweep.
right, right. It doesn't
All
have to
these
be.
are little things you can do.
It, yeah, I think a lot of people make it more complicated than it has to be because there's so
Mhm.
many witchlings out
Absolutely.
there or TikTok witches out there that are telling people you have to do a laundry list of things to do what we know to be it.
It's an innate thing.
Simple,
Actually, what Kevin does is the best thing possible. Go
right?
sit your butt outside. You have all your elements there.
We're
Mhm.
known as tree huggers. Go
Yeah.
hug a tree.
I
You
do
know,
that at work a lot because we have a lot of trails and stuff. And I always take a walk during my breaks and I'll just go lean up against a tree and say, heal me, and I'm always forever taking selfies by this one tree. And it's just, and I just sit there and I lean back on it and it helps straighten out my back from sitting. And I just let it, you know,
you let it heal you. You let nature heal you.
hmm
You utilize what's around you to fix you.
when in need, you do the deed, you can't be, and as for smudging and all this stuff, and people, oh, cartomancy, it's the Italians and your culture. We don't give a crap. Read cards all you want.
Exactly.
We don't care, and whatever, it's, some of my indigenous friends say it's about your intent, how you're
Exactly.
using it. Are you using it to promote yourself and tote it as your own, or are you using it as a personal thing?
Yeah, there was a woman that was on Harold's show last night before last, and she was an older woman, and she has indigenous friends, and then she has friends from Africa, and etc. So different ethnicities, and there are so many people that say you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't use this, you can't use that because it belongs to XYZ, and it's not so. If you ask those people, they'll say, no, we never said that.
Yeah.
And it's all because
Mhm.
of these new people coming out, like I said, with the TikTok or the witchlings that get wrong information and they put it out there. I can't tell you how many times I've seen you can't smudge because it is strictly an indigenous thing. And it
And you
is
want to know what my indigenous friend told me to do? I said, so what should I do? He's like, you know what I'm going to tell you.
right.
Smudge more.
There you go. There you go. You
And
do it
and
for
you don't have to use sage it's the
Mhm.
intent. Smudging is the art of smudging is the smoke is what carries the intention. So
right.
that's why you do that in the indigenous practices. They use that to send up their prayers to creator.
Right.
And you know, that's what it is. What is it? It's a way for you to get the message going, to get that energy out there. And it doesn't have to be white sage or whatever. You can use, some people smudge with rosemary. People smudge with all kinds of different things.
I love the scent of dragon's blood myself.
Yeah.
I just love dragon's blood.
Yeah.
Patchouli, not so much, but
You can use
it's
tobacco if you have to, because the thing
right.
is, if you're asking without, my friend said, if you're not offering when you're asking, that's spiritually stealing. You know what I mean? That's why you give gifts to the god and goddess, or you
Correct.
give an offering when you go to church, because you're asking for that intention and you're giving it for that reason, right? You're not just taking, you know?
And that's another tool that you can use to like cleanse and realign your spiritual self.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that inner self. You can use,
Yeah.
you know, help me out here, you know, send up smoke signals. You
Asking
know?
without offering is spiritually stealing.
Yeah.
You know, spirit, they're not vending machines. The gods and goddesses, creator, spirit, they're not vending machines.
Correct. Correct.
Everybody from Kyle Gray to the indigenous to the Catholics to the Wiccans to the Gardnerians to the Alexandrians say the same thing. You have to offer something.
Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship.
It is. It's a relationship.
You know,
110%.
I tell people, put the shoe on the other foot. How do you like if people keep asking you and asking you and asking you and asking you, and they don't even say thank you?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That was a hard lesson I learned with my line of work.
yes,
Setting up those boundaries.
exactly.
That's another thing. You know, boundaries. Setting up boundaries is healthy boundaries is an important thing.
And deleting what doesn't serve you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it be, and I know it's hard for a lot of people, but deleting family, friends, whatever the case may be, you know,
That's what we were talking about earlier. My circus. I might as well call it a circus. My circle.
Going.
My circle is becoming more of a rhombus or a trapezoid than a freaking circle.
Right.
You know, you do what you got to do, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Whatever you need to do to take your spiritual self to the next level. Always, like Harold says it a lot, always reach for your highest ideals.
Yeah. I mean, these last 5 years for me, Harold knows a little bit because he's known me through that trajectory, but I've changed so much from where I started to where I am now. Because after my dad died, I learned, the first thing I learned was that the people that should be there, or you feel should be there, or you're certain will be, aren't. And other people will surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I met Sigrid. You know, that when I had my cards done, when I started coming back heavily into my spiritual path, you know, Leanne Marama, she was like, you need to start reconnecting and networking with spirit. And you'll find that happens. You know, you'll make these connections. And I started learning, and I called it the grand culling for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still happening now, not to the same amount of people at a time, but the people that you think have your back sometimes don't.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier when we were talking about our friendship. My circle is really small.
Mhm.
You know, there are people that are on my friends list that are just acquaintances. You know, they're not in my circle of friends.
Our
And
rhombus.
exactly, our rhombus of friends. And it's like that for a reason, because I refuse to let toxicity in here. You know, and if somebody enters in and, you know, they're starting to show, I'll give them a little chance. You know,
Yeah,
like
but I mean, you know, I know when I was in my coven, and I was going through the teachings, one of the first things we learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you never enter the circle or the rhombus with bad intention, or, you know, with anger or whatever. You know what I mean? Am I wrong about that?
no, you enter with love and light. You enter with love and light. And if you have any drama, bad intentions, etc., then you're not welcome. Because, and like I said, I'll give people a chance, but that's what they get, a chance. And if you start pushing my button the wrong way, I'm sorry, but you're not going to mess with my good energy. You're not going to waste my goddess given energy on bad stuff. You know, I've got better things to do. I'll block you. I will delete you. I'm just not going to deal with it. It doesn't serve my spiritual self any good to deal with that kind of negativity, because the more you deal with it, the more you absorb it.
Absolutely. Like I told you, Breeze took her over an hour to peel that shit off of me.
Right. And it's not, you know, we shouldn't let ourselves get to that point. And I know living in the mundane world that we live in, it's easy to not focus on that type of thing, but it should be in the forefront.
And I'm not talking about, you know, Rhonda likes strawberry ice cream and I like chocolate, so therefore we can't be friends.
Right.
I'm talking about the fact that if Rhonda likes strawberry ice cream and I'm jamming it down her throat that strawberry ice cream sucks and only chocolate ice cream is good, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that, you know,
good analogy,
doesn't fit.
No.
And it doesn't fit with our spiritual practice, whether it's the Wiccan Read or whatever. That's not how we do it.
And the Wiccan
Read, as a spiritual community,
too. That's another thing people take. That's another thing people take to heart is the Wiccan Read. That was written as a guideline, not something that is like set in stone.
Exactly.
You know, so people need to start letting go of, stay off of TikTok. You know, I know.
I'm surprised we don't have a worldwide bay leaf shortage.
Oh, I tell you what. But I think if people
what was it? My daughter brought up the protection jar earlier. I'm like, there is no 1 minute, 2 minute TikTok video that could cover how to do a protection jar. Sorry.
Right. Correctly. To do it correctly. You know, I mean, I've sold protection jars, and I used to make intention necklaces, the little bottles that you wear on a necklace, and it would take me forever.
Yeah.
because from start to finish, everything that touches, first you cleanse it, and then everything that you put in there has to be put in there with intention, every little detail, you know, and it's not something that can just be open the bottle, stuff the stuff in, pour the wax over the top, done deal.
No.
You know, so, and that goes for
everything. The only ones that do it right, I think, is Judy Aspinall's coven when they teach online, and they, you know, she'll be like, this is what you're doing, and she explains what each step is for. But again, you know, there is no ritual out there that you can do or working. I don't know. I don't know. Again, you get what you put into it.
Right. And the same thing goes with yourself.
I'll die on this hill saying what my dad told me years ago when I turned 18 was, Joanne, anything worthwhile in life requires work, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a marriage, an education, a career, a car, a lawn. You know, he's like, you could say, I could say I love that guy's lawn and want to go live there. And then I go there and I find out that if I don't maintain it and I don't take care of it, it's just going to be the same old lawn.
Right.
You know, the lawn is green and lush over there because he put that work into it.
Right. Exactly. The same thing goes for ourselves. You know, you come out to be what you put yourself in, what you put into yourself. You know, if you don't spend time with yourself, you're just going to end up the same today or tomorrow as you are today.
And I have to highlight again that this is not about going and practicing with a coven or going to a specific church. You know, always respect those places and their and their ways of doing things, you know.
Exactly.
That's like if I go see Sen Jack and he invites me to a work that he's doing or whatever, I'm going to honor what he does.
Right.
I'm not going to go in there and be like, well, I'm a witch. I'm not do, no, that's not how it works.
It's like when
You're
in
going to
Rome.
respect,
Yeah, it's like
you
when in
know,
Rome, do what the Romans do.
yeah. When you go home, your personal practice can entail whatever feels right for you,
Right.
and we really have to, talk about that separation of the two, because I think it's getting too, you know what I mean? Too interplayed, your personal practice in with your, what would they call it? Denomination of practice or whatever,
The different traditions.
Yeah.
It's
I've learned from a lot of people. Sigrid and I, when we work together, she's Norse and I'm pretty much eclectic. I do a lot of Egyptian and Celtic, and we learned to work it together.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
She has ingredients that I don't have,
Right. You use what works for you. Works, what you
but we
have.
find out that we have more that connects us than divides us, because I don't have a certain kind of sage, or I don't have a particular statue like she does, or skull, or whatever we're using. Does that mean I'm not going to do the ritual? No.
Right.
Might have
It's like
something else he doesn't have.
I was telling someone one time that that story with my Super 7.
Yeah, I love that.
What if I can't find one of those? I said, walk outside and just stand, because they had a lot of rocks in their yard. So go outside and just kind of get a sense for which one is calling to you, what rock is calling to you. It can be just any ordinary rock. Really, that'll work. It's from nature.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot when I go to the river. I'll walk in and, I sit, and then I come out, and all of a sudden there'll be a rock or a stick or something that wasn't there before, but is blatantly in my path now.
Right.
Those are gifts.
There you go. And it has a purpose. Everything that has been put in your face, so to speak, or in your path is for a reason. Not everything is, what's that word? It's like if you find something, it's for a specific reason. It's not always like that. I can't think of the word right off the top of my head.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but they say that a lot. What does this mean? What does that mean? I saw this, I saw that, this happened. Sometimes it's just there and it just happens. Your intuition, your discernment, once you get that down pat, how to listen.
Oh, an omen. It's not an omen necessarily.
Exactly. But it's not, once you develop that and learn to listen to your intuition and trust your intuition and use your discernment, that's when okay, yeah, that stone was put there for me for a reason. It's not just,
You'll definitely know.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure it was there when I walked in, and I never noticed it, but there it is catching my attention now. You know what I mean? You'll know.
And then
I have no way to explain it other than I know when things appear. Like I go down trails all the time, and my friend's like, you're always finding these amazing walking sticks that I want to, put together and do some things with. And it's true. Every time I go in, a lot of times I go into the woods and I come out, and all of a sudden right there by my car or by the beginning of the trail, there's a stick, perfect walking stick. And I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Because you're in tune with your intuition. You trust your intuition. And that, again, circles back to what we were talking about with the spiritual cleansing and connections.
yeah.
Your intuition will tell you, this is messed up. We need to work on this. Welcome back,
Get her.
Ellie.
She's over there all comfortable in her space.
I know.
I'm I'm jammed in on the kitchen table here.
Yeah, same here. And I'm sitting on the Golden Dawn. Go figure. My booster seat. I couldn't find the regular one. So,
My laptop in the living room is like way slow, but so I brought the new one in here because it was working great yesterday. And of course, today it did an update. And now I'm back to square one, and I can't remember for the life of me what I changed to make it work.
yeah, we had a little glitch when we started to and had to reboot Harold's computer. We
Well,
might
when I
switch
created the
over-
platform, I did it during Mercury retrograde.
You know, I gotta say this. Ellie knows I'm gonna say it. There are so many people that down Mercury retrograde. I'm one of those people that always looks for the positive and the negative.
Oh,
You
it
know-
doesn't affect me on the outside. It just affects my podcasting.
Oh, it affects your.
I don't mind. To me, I look at Mercury retro. Think of what the word retro means, to look back and review. So
Right.
when Mercury retrograde comes, I look at it personally for my spiritual process. And I could be wrong. And the fact that I have to say that after every sentence just says a lot about the world today. Retrospect. I'm looking back and I'm double checking. I'm crossing my T's, dotting my I's. Like if I wrote a paper and I did a rough draft, I'm going back and I'm looking what I did over the, between the last retro and now. What do I need to change? What do I need to work on? And since I've taken that approach, Mercury retro has been pretty, I don't want to say it's not as complex as it is,
Yeah, there's so many people out there that it has such a bad rap. Everybody thinks nothing but negative about Mercury retrograde, but I'm one of those that always looks for the positive and the negative. So,
well, I will say it
like
makes
that.
my
I like that.
broadcasting a definitely a unique experience, like a challenge. I'm like, what the hell? It does add for humor, I suppose.
Hey, it's a life thing, and like I said, just keep going. It's has no choice but to get better.
Well, and that's what I do. I find ways around it. I'm sure once I find that setting on this, because it even told me when I ran the diagnostic before we came on, that it's a setting on something's turned on somewhere. So now I just got to find what was turned on
and turn it off, or vice versa.
Yeah. And I was so mad because like I said, I tested it yesterday. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to be able to use the laptop finally and not be jammed in the kitchen. And boom, nope.
Yeah,
we just did an update and reset everything,
Yeah, exactly. But it all worked out. We're here.
Yes. It was definitely fun. I thank you. And we got to do it again next week.
Yes.
Lessons happen in real life. I mean, I keep going back to connections. I look at my cards, and I used to think they were complicated. But this wise woman once told me, look at the card, what's your first impression of the card? Look at the picture, what's your first impression? Write it down. That's it? I know that's not it, but that got the cobwebs, the ego part out of my head, the thinking part out of my head to, oh, this card, well, the wisdom card, where'd it go? Has so many colors on it. It has the eye, it has the soft colors, the balance, the moon. I mean, it's amazing just to look at it.
Yep.
Okay, so what does the moon represent? What do the colors represent? What does gold represent? What does the eye represent? So when you're able to tune in, there's so much there. And once, you get out of your own way, as the saying goes, it's right there in front of you. It's hidden in plain sight. That's the best place to hide things, by the way, is in plain sight.
Yeah. I did Breeze did a series on one of our classes was, divination and different things like that. We tackled all kinds of different, like we did tarot one week, and one of the things we did was dream interpretation. And I'm like, I'm no dream interpreter, and she's like, yep. She's like, that's what you say now, but she's like, let's go through the process. So what we would do is we would all pick a dream and talk about it. And I started taking notes, and I was giving back feedback to people, and they were crying in the class on how on point I was. And Breege laughs because I'm always like, I'm no dream interpreter. And she's like, but you are. And I'm like, and it was just, like I said, like you said, you get out of your own way. And I just started looking at what was being said in the dream and the different symbolisms and everything. Mm-hmm. Of course, it helped because I do other types of divination, but I see what you're saying, and you're right on point with that, Ellie, is sometimes you just gotta just let the process happen. It was the same thing with auras. I'm like, I don't see auras at all. And Breege was like I said, just, whatever. And then we did the test, and sure enough, but at the end of the class, I was like, oh, wow, I see your aura, so never limit yourself.
Exactly. Always
limiting beliefs.
Nice ideals.
Look at what are your limiting beliefs that are holding you back from moving forward in your spiritual practice.
Or for taking care of yourself.
And like I said, I was blessed to have a lot of people around me, like people like empowering women like Rhonda, like Breege. I look for the people that have that gift that I want to have, that inspire me.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's true. I know your backstory. I know a lot of actually, Rhonda is going to be my guest on Joyful Empowerment this week, on Wednesday night. So look for that recording, and how the things that happened in her life, in her circumstances, she worked with the things that brought her joy and have brought her to where she is today. That's what Joyful Empowerment is. Find what it is that you love and makes you shine, and do that and see how it carries you through all those times, and it's not necessarily magical. It could be gardening. Ooh. It could be art. You could be a landscaper, but how did that carry you through those tough times to be who you are today?
Right. And the most important thing, I think, and I know it's hard for a lot of people, especially when they're young, still living at home, or in a situation where they can't just, I'm done, to move on. But one of the most important things is don't ever give up on yourself. It's your life. Nobody can live it but you. Nobody should be able to tell you how to live your life, and I've been on my own since I was 15 for a reason. I've always been a very strong, independent person. This is my life. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah. And how did those things that you did?
It's probably harsh to, family, but, I felt very uncomfortable trying to fit in the shoes they wanted me to walk in. Very uncomfortable. I mean, it made me physically sick. I've thrown up in church, so no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. This is what I need to do. This is what makes me feel whole.
Yeah.
Taking care of, because even in church, in Christian church, they teach that this is the vessel. Your body, your physical body is the vessel. Yeah. And it carries the soul.
It says it in the Bible too, doesn't it? The kingdom of God is within. That's the book of Matthew, one of my favorite books in the Bible, Matthew and Isaiah. And I love the book of Psalms too, because those are spells. But anyways,
exactly.
Yeah, those are the three books. I've read the Bible back and forth. I know. I have I respect it. And I believe that all these people, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, they all lived, and they were enlightened beings trying to give a message.
Right. Correct. And the message is, when you think about it as a collective, all
be a decent human.
Place. They all focus on the same thing, just using different terminology.
Yep. Joyce Meyer said it the best. Because she's very empowering for women sometimes. She makes me laugh. And she's like, Jesus didn't come to bring religion. He came to teach a way of life.
Right.
And always remember these things. Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, all these different things. And that is the true meaning, be a decent human, love each other. We're all connected, and it's a simple message, but nobody seems to get it. And I find that the simplest concepts in life seem to be the hardest ones to grasp.
Exactly. And if
'cause I'm not against religion, I'm against organized religion.
Mm-hmm.
The gathering, Ellie asked me one time what my description of religion was, and what I've always heard it as is a gathering of the masses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've always heard religion as. I don't like calling my path, my walk, a religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's my life.
I call it a spiritual practice is what I call it. And it incorporates many things.
It does. Mm-hmm. It does. And the goals within all them different religions, like I said, are the same.
You have to, again, it's about being rigid, and you have to do it this way, and you have to do it this way, because my way is the right way.
Right.
Oh, you're live. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But it all goes, and they all teach the same thing: feed the spirit, feed your soul, and always reach for that highest part of you. They all teach the same thing. Some of them may be more gender specific. A lot of Baptists are more for the men. The women have to be quiet type of thing. But I'm sure deep down the women all still do what they need to do to reach that center point. But like we were saying at the beginning of the show, we need to have our inner spirit more attuned. And I think if we continue to work on that, it'll make us better human beings.
Yeah.
For ourselves and for our
Is it going to cure the problems of the world? Absolutely not. It's going to strengthen you.
Well, the thing is, it may not cure the world, but if you fix yourself, and then within yourself, you're good, and you help your next door neighbor, and then they pay it forward and help somebody else. Before you know it, your whole neighborhood's happy.
I think it was Wayne. I know it was Wayne Dyer, the OG of this concept. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Correct.
And I always wondered what that meant when I first started reading his books. I'm like, what does that mean? And now I look, because people are like, geez, I remember a time when somebody said that to you, you'd rip their face off. And I'm like, because I've learned that it's not me, it's them projecting whatever's bothering them onto me. Or it's their mental, you know what I mean? I just look at things differently.
Right.
And it has eliminated a lot of conflict in my life.
And the thing is, where we are today, a year from now, 2 years from now, when we look back at now, we're going to be changed people. Because
absolutely.
Because we know what we need to do to work on ourselves, to make ourselves better, both spiritually and as humans.
Yeah. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. And I think I even said that to my mom. I told you, I said, you're living with a 40-year-old version of me that doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Correct. And it's like we were talking about earlier about perfection. None of us are perfect. 2 years from now, even though we're going to continue to work on ourselves from now until doomsday, even at that point, when we cross over, we're still not going to be at that perfect phase.
No. And if that's too hard to understand, think about the lawn concept. You get that lawn green and then you don't continue to take care of it, what's going to happen?
Right. It deteriorates, turns brown, but if you continue to work on it, it's going to continue to be more beautiful than it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years from now, it may have beautiful flowers growing in it. Even though you didn't do anything to do it, they'll just voluntarily start growing. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
But, you need to start taking care of this first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not going to help anybody if you're tainted, so to
No.
speak.
I heard a saying a long time ago. I don't even remember where I heard it. You know, it's talking about, you know, the spiritual path. You know, it's not, it's, you know, and I think it was in regards to scripture, the 66 canonized, you know, books. I mean, I read a lot. So I've read, you know, I've read the Kabbalah, I've read the Apocrypha, I've read the Kabbalah. So, I mean, I've read other things than just the Bible. And, you know, I heard something in regards to, you know, the scriptures, the Bible, you know, it's, you know, none of it that's written is about religion. It's all about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard that, that changed my mindset completely. In other words, it's not about a set of rules.
Yeah, I learned that at Temple of Miriam, you know, the Jewish mystic temple I belong to, that it's from Dr. Jeremy Weiss. They're allegories for life, you know, because obviously these books were written, you know, long ago. Are you going to, is it going to interpret the way we are now to the world today? No, but it's an allegory for life is what it is. They're allegories for how, you know, what is the book, the Beatitudes? It's an allegory for life, to be a decent person. And that's so true. You know, and that was like when I was, because I went to Catholic school for, I'm a recovering Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 8 years, and I always thought that the Jewish people just read the Old Testament until I joined a Kabbalistic temple and started learning the practice of Kabbalah. And I learned that the Torah is absolutely not like the Old Testament at all. And how translating Hebrew doesn't translate well to other languages. And it changes the meaning of a lot of things, because people are like, you have an ancestor altar with the Virgin Mary on it, or with the, you know, whatever on it, but you don't, that's for my ancestors, because not all my ancestors practice like I do. But the point is, if you read the 10 Commandments, how they actually read, you shall honor no other gods before me. And in several parts of the Bible, it says that there are other gods. You know, so, you know, I'm not breaking any rules.
Right.
Before I do any ritual, I just go to the ancestor altar first.
Even the words of Yeshua, you know, out of, I believe it's Matthew, and probably in other places too, when someone asked him the most important of the 10 words.
Yeah.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and might, and love your neighbor as yourself. So you've got the Shema, which is to hear, and then you've got the Lahavta, to love. So to hear and to love. Those are both verbs, action words.
Right.
So it has nothing to do, again, with religion. It has everything to do with what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've also often heard it put that those two things is the hands and feet of the other 611 mitzvot or commandments.
Well, even, exactly. Well, even if, you know, how Dr. Jeremy told me, he's like, God has there is no name for God. He has many names. You know, he has hundreds of names. And that's why, you know, when the Jewish people, if you notice, they'll write like if I write the word God, I'll usually do the capital G with a dash in the middle and then the D, because there is no word to define God.
Right.
You know, it's energy. It's an energy. You know, it's not some guy sitting in the sky with a pitchfork and, or a wand sitting there, you know, and just like, you know, that, you know, people are like, oh, you worship the devil. I'm like, actually, no, we don't believe in the devil.
Right.
Is there bad people? Is there bad energies? Absolutely. You know, but all entities are entities, you know. But there's
Exactly.
no guy waiting with a pitchfork, you know.
No.
Well, Norse is the same. Odin, he has many names.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was having this conversation, you know, with Rhonda. I was trying to wrap my brain around something, and I'm like, oh, it's like this. And she's like, exactly. And there's sometimes that she's had to reword something because she knows the way my brain works. And she's like, let's see, it's like this. And she explains it in a way that my brain actually gets it, which sometimes it's hard to do. But anyway, you know, and I'm actually very grateful for that, because not everyone has that ability or that gift.
No.
You know, and she's often told me, she's like, you know, either you or Sigrid said something last week or the week before. And so I was relaying it to Ron, and she goes, yeah, I said that when I started showing you things, but I've told you before that someone is going to say something and you're going to get it. You know, another teacher will say something and you're going to get what that teacher is saying. Yeah. And I said the exact same thing. Well, you clicked with what they said, and I said it too. Oh,
and that's what weaving the web is.
And that's great that you did that.
There's more connection. That's why I came up with the, you know, when Sigrid and I were planning this, we came up with weaving the web, because there's a web of connection through everything. You know what I mean? It's just different interpretations of the same thing. You say tomato, I say tomato. You know, there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine in any religion that you're looking at.
It's like within this show right here, when it airs on Witchcraft TV, on Roku, I'm plugging it. But when it airs on Witchcraft TV, there's going to be a multiple, you know, types of people watching this show. The three of us at any time within this show have talked about the same subject, but in a different manner. I may have said it one way and they're like, huh? And then Ellie may have said it and they're like, well, okay. And then Joanne will say the same, talk about the same thing, but in different terms. And they're like, oh yeah, I get that now. It's the same thing, you know. So,
you know, it's about meeting people where they're at. You know, in my profession anyway, I have to meet people where they're at. I can't expect them to operate at my level, right? Because they're not. Right. Do they want to get to that level eventually? Absolutely. And if I want to help them, I can't be like the overlord behind the desk. You know what I mean?
And there may be some people that are above our level, but they like missed a step, or need a refresher course type of thing. You know,
that was one of the things my supervisor had said, because we co-facilitate a lot due to the population we work with. And I know I was intimidated when I started, because I'm like, and he would be like, all right, I want you to start throwing your input. And I'm like, wow, he's a doctor. I'm a student. How can I possibly, you know, and the other day he did a presentation for my school, and he was like, you know, he's like, we learn from each other. He's like, you know, the two of us have learned, I've learned different perspectives and things that I wouldn't have thought of. And to me, that was like the biggest compliment or honor he could have given me. And it's true. We learn from each other by those connections. It doesn't matter. We're all people, you know, labels are labels. You know, you could have, as we're seeing now in our community, you can have the biggest label in the world and still be a D-bag.
Exactly. So we missed a few comments. Sigrid said good morning.
Oh, good morning, Sigrid. You bitch.
Harold says Buenos dias. Yeah, I've missed a few of the comments. The last one from Kevin was, the weave of magic is like the fungal root network under the forest floor, connecting everything for miles. And that
I love that.
That is precisely right. There's a book, and I can't remember the name of the gentleman who wrote it, and it's the secret magic of trees or something. I'll have to get it. But I was listening to it when I was driving truck. And the way the man explains it is like every tree pretty much on the face of the earth is interconnected at
Oh, yeah.
some level. And in
The
a way,
roots.
exactly. And in a way, when we're right, we're just as connected.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes I just give my problems to the trees, and I'm like, you know what's happening here. You know what I need. And yeah, there's all kinds of ways, and it's amazing. You know, so don't knock yourself. Whatever your belief is, you know, don't be afraid to think outside the box, you know, just because it doesn't resonate. Personally, organized religion doesn't work for me because I don't like being told what the fuck to do.
Same here.
And that just is what it is. You know, I'm not against it. It's just not for me. I don't, you know, who are you to tell me that I'm no good because I'm not doing it the way you do it? That's always been me.
Same. That's one of the reasons.
Where does your feelings and your way of doing things trump mine?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I love this community and the people that I've been meeting. Some no longer, you know, friends and acquaintance with. Others, you know, we're growing closer. Why?
Right.
Because it's that connection. And the other thing, there's not, and I've seen this, and I still don't understand it, probably never will, but there's that strong connection, and then there's others that have that jealousy and envy. Why? There's no reason for it. In my mind, you know, my way of thinking. You know, if Rhonda knows how to, I don't know, be an eclectic witch, and I want to know some of those gifts, hey, how do I do that? That looks pretty cool. Hey, Joanne, how do you do that divination thing you were talking about, or you know, the allegories for life by Dr. Jeremy? How do you do that? Hey, I want to learn that. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I don't like you anymore because you know something I don't.
Yeah.
No, where does that, you know, where does that come from? That's not what our ancestors did.
No, it was all about interconnecting and community and helping each other. And that's the whole thing. And I think we've lost, you know, and I look at, because I find these things so paradoxical, because I'm like, all right, you're saying one thing, but you're doing the exact opposite of what you're saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Being a pagan was never about, I'm not going to do this because I don't like the practice that you're doing. I don't like the way that you're lighting your candles. I don't like the way that you're cleaning your house. I don't like the way you set your altar up. You know, it was all a collective bond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all had like the same purpose.
It's like, you know, when I went to my mother's house at Christmas, we went to midnight mass at Christmas. I didn't spontaneously combust. I went and I respected the tradition of that family, you know, my family. You know, I didn't not go to my brother's communion. You know what I mean? Like all these different things, you know, and we're really losing that as a society, you know.
And that's where it goes right back to what I was saying before. If we all individually, realistically started working on our inner selves, our spiritual selves,
leading by example,
connecting, exactly. And if we keep doing that with ourselves and bettering ourselves, then I think it makes for a better community in the long run. It does.
I think it is. You know, advocating is not sitting on Facebook and complaining all day. And I'll die on that hill because people are like, oh, well, I'm like, listen, my daily life is advocating for, you know, at-risk youth and doing what I do. That's how I advocate.
Right.
You know, Facebook to me, I use it to connect and to entertain, you know, for entertainment.
Well, I use Facebook to connect to people, my students, people that need help, you know, have questions that need to be answered, or they're looking.
And I'm not saying not to be aware of what's going on in the world, but don't make it a 24/7 manifesto on your page, because again, now you're not focusing on you're taking the focus off your sacred self.
Right. And I think there's a lot of clergy out there that can take a good lesson from this very show on better yourselves. Learn to be a better pagan, and
Lead by
then
example. Go out there and, not for nothing, you got the Byron Ballard. She's out there doing whatever she does with the food pantries. You go out there and you do the work.
one of my favorites right now is Patrick McCollum.
Mm.
He literally travels the world,
Mm-hmm.
try to bring peace amongst
Yep.
communities. And we're here within I'll just say the United States, even though I know it's worldwide, but within the United States, there are so many witch wars.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much bashing going on within the pagan community. We're not supposed to be divided.
It's like that in every community, though. If you, Chief Phil Lane will tell you that, there's a lot of fighting even in the indigenous communities about people that, oh, you're not native enough, or this and that. And it's so stupid, it's like, this isn't about who we are as individuals. It's about spiritual. It's about spirit. It's about the energy we put out into the world.
Right, exactly. And when we learn to better ourselves, then we can project that. But until, people learn to take a good look in the mirror. Michael Jackson sang a song about that, I think. Look at the man in the mirror. And when you learn to look in that mirror and you can honestly say that you are the best version of you that the divine expects from you, then you don't have any right to throw a stone at anybody else. There are so many clergy out there that are doing so many effed up things, and it's just like you're clergy.
Yeah.
And clergy is supposed to be leading by example to their students and to people who are following in their footsteps. And
110% agree.
Yeah, and then they wonder why there are so many messed up pagans out there, because look, you're doing this. What did you expect your followers to do? They're going to do what you're doing. I'm always telling my people, I hope you supersede me.
I said it last year.
Doing.
The masks are coming off, and the people that we thought were so great and so wonderful, like a lot of these authors and a lot of these spiritual that we thought were so wonderful, the masks were going to come off, and you're going to see the true person behind that. And it's been eye-opening to me.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the James Dobson era, and if you don't know who he is, he was a religious person that taught, the way, children, adults should act, should do things, etc. And one of his books actually goes into great detail of how to treat a child. I did a deeper dive in that, and when I reread it as an adult, I saw how wrong it was, because it was literally teaching how to mistreat those who were different, those neurodivergent children.
Right.
And it was like, oh my goodness. I mean, it literally hit me like a ton of bricks. And so when he passed away last year, there were a lot of us that, we didn't shed any tears over it. And many who honored him, oh, he was this great teacher. No, he wasn't, because of what he taught.
Right.
You were talking about clergy. A lot of these churches, these mega churches, these leaders that are, what they're teaching, what they're saying, you look behind the curtain, so to speak, and you see all kinds of immoral things. And if you're not used to that, you're just like, wait, what did I just see? What did I just hear? What happened to this? What happened to this way that they're supposed to be teaching? And it's no reason why those of us that were raised a certain way aren't on that path anymore.
Yep.
You know, we're finding examples outside of those walls, you know, that are better, because it's like, wait a minute, those pagans, the you know, those witches, they're walking a better walk than these Christians over here. And not all, but for the most part, there is a division of, wait a minute, they're walking this walk. They're just not talking it.
Yeah, well, sadly, what's happening now is we're finding in the pagan community that these people that talk this talk about being neutral and open aren't exactly doing that. You know? And that's what's sad to me, you know? We're supposed to lead by example, and we're doing the exact same thing that, and when I say we, I say the collective we. I don't mean us. And again, the fact that I have to say that is sad. But the collective, you know, that's the way it is. You know, we have to, we're doing exactly what we say we hate about them.
Right. Yep.
And it's all paradoxical to me. So, you know, my personal practice, I go with spirit, and I keep to that, and I look to people that inspire me and are different and don't take me down those paths, because it you know, otherwise it's for my own well-being, you know.
And you don't get involved in the riffraff.
You know, we're not going to review my stance on drama, because I just don't allow it.
I'm one of those that can go from 0 to 60 and back like this.
I'm like, I don't give a crap what your war is and with who. You know.
Right.
You know, the thing to do is, I look at it as I'm showing, I find people that do lead by example, and I put them out there to show, you know, healthy ways to go down the path.
Right. We try to teach the better ways to do things, the better way to take care of your mind, body, and soul.
Am I doing it the Gardnerian way? No. Am I doing it the Alexandrian way? No. Am I doing it the Catholic way? No. I'm doing it
Joanne's way.
Respecter of all things. You know what I mean? Just, you know, I that's how I look at it. If I'm going to your coven, Rhonda, to do and Ellie, I'm gonna respect how you do it in your house.
Right. But when you do it in your house, you do it your way. And the way, you know, I always say when I teach, this is how I do it. You know, this is what I know. This is how I do it. But when you do it, feel free to tweak.
New Hampshire witches are the shit.
I hear a voice from the darkness.
Yeah. Comments from the peanut gallery back here. But yeah, it's I'm thinking it's almost time to wrap it up, ladies.
It is. So if people want to work with you gals, how do they do this?
Okay, so for me, they can find me on Facebook under Rhonda Fields, or anything New Moon Eclectics. There's a Facebook group. newmooneclectics.com is the website, where it's the website and an academy. So yeah, that's how they can get a hold of me. And Ellie, how can they get a hold of you? If someone has a question.
I haven't thought that far ahead yet.
New Moon Eclectics.
They can join the Facebook group, New Moon Eclectics, and Ellie is an admin in our group, so they'll be able to find her there as well.
Okay.
I also have Facebook under Ellie Bell, but I'm learning the different admin skills because someone keeps pushing me out of my comfort zone. But you know,
She's doing very well at it, though.
Yes, she is. I threw her right out the door and into the fire. There you
Hey,
go.
she's doing a good job with
I
it,
need,
too.
I need a co-host.
There you go, Ellie. Well, ladies, I thoroughly enjoyed this evening very much.
I did. Next week we will be back. And Ellie will have decided on how she wants you to reach her. Rhonda hopefully will be there too. And we will have another wonderful topic that the collective divine picks for us.
There you go.
And look for Rhonda and me on Wednesday night. It's going to be a recording, but I'll post the recording in the WCTV group on my page. Rhonda will probably post it a million places too. So be on the lookout for that. And, if you have any input, topics, questions, bring them. Thank you for joining us, whether it's live, on demand, on Roku, wherever you are. We really, really appreciate your input and your views, and we love all of you. And we wish you nothing but peace and blessings and all kinds of great things. Remember to protect your peace. Remember to come home to your body.
Right on.
Come home to your body. Go within. It's time to go within. Stop worrying about everything else going on, because none of that's going to work unless you're right on yourself, right? So
Exactly.
until next time.
We have one last comment, and we have to say goodnight to our dear friend, Shundi. We love you so much. Goddess bless. She loved our show. She said it was a wonderful show.
Thank you, Shundi. I love you more.
Love you, Shundi. Ellie Bell and Joanne, it was a great show. Thank you so much.
Yep,
And
Sigrid, wherever you are.
Night, Sigrid. Or good morning. Good night, Ellie Bell, and God.
I love you, my Sigrid.
Blessed be everyone. Okay, ladies.
We're still live.